So, we are back on the Modern Mana Symbol channel. Mana Symbol channel with more Modern. Playing some Velomachus variants in the form of Zman's Supervillans deck. So this is an Indomitable Creativity Emrakul deck with no copies of Velomachus, no copies of taking turn spells. We do have the same core of Wrenn and Six and Teferi. So in this deck, Wrenn and Six cannot create a deterministic win with a Wrenn and Six emblem with a Wrenn and Six in play and a Time Warp. However, there are lightning bolts, there are delays and remands, and there are Prismari commands, so lots of good, flexible spells, hard evidence that Wrenn and Six can take advantage of. The biggest difference between this and the Velomachus deck is instead of spending 8 slots on Velomachus plus 10 slots on 2 Velomachus and 8 taking turn spells, that's all consolidated down to 1 Emrakul. And so instead of all of those other things, you get to play more interaction through the early and mid game, and you get to play Nahiri the Harbinger. And Nahiri the Harbinger exists as an additional way to get your Emrakul into play and attacking. At which point, hopefully you've won the game. You have lightning bolts to close out the damage. You have Wrenn and Six pings and Prismari Command. So basically, this deck is functioning as if it were the pre-sideboarded configuration of one of these decks. This is a level of sideboarding I've gone to in some form or fashion, although I would usually keep the time warps in some number. Yeah, that is correct, Larynx. You keep delay over counterspell because we don't want to play double blue. So delay is a card that isn't seen often. This is 1 and a blue for counter target spell. If the spell is countered this way, exile it with 3 time counters on it instead of putting it into its opponent's graveyard. Or its owner's graveyard, and we have Teferi, which will shut off that card coming back. However, one of the important parts about this is it is better than Counterspell if you have Teferi come in before it comes off. And the one big reason is that the card never goes to their graveyard. This is important for Dragon's Rage Channeler. It's important if you're delaying a Kroxa. Delaying a Kroxa and then playing a Teferi on a later turn is much more significant than countering it with any other kind of spell. But you can see here that this deck is playing 2 remand and 3 delay, and I think, you obviously could play more of one or either of these, but I think the way the metagame is right now, you don't need it much. It's actually not usually that good, but being able to delay or remand the Luris in those decks, or some of the 2 mana plays at Hammer Time can be fairly significant. And we are loaded up on 1 CMC cards with Hard Evidence, Lightning Bolt, and Prismatic Ending. The Velomachus deck I'm going to play later is going to be featuring Hard Evidence as well. So this is really my first time playing with this card. It is a single blue to create an 0/3 blue crab creature token, and you also get a clue. So both sides of this are useful for your Indomitable Creativity combo. The sideboard, not too much to talk about here. We've got little bits of hate for everything Alpine Moon for the Blood Moon, or for the Urza Saga decks, rather than Wear Tear. I think this is probably worse against Hammer Time, but better against other Saga decks. So let's get into it. Phoenix was making a note that the updated version of Zan's list has Shark Typhoon. I don't think that's anywhere near significant enough of a change that I'm going to go and deal with that. So, you already have Larynx. I'm pretty sure you already have. Oh, no, yeah. I mean, he doesn't like Remand at all. I'm not surprised. Remand was one of the cards that I identified 3 weeks back or so. On my top 8, or on my 8-0 run through the Swiss, I said I think Remand is probably one of the worst cards in that deck. And that was right before Mr. Raid picked up the deck. His first 5-0s had Remands, and then he pruned them out very quickly afterwards. I will say I definitely have a hard time committing to any deck, even one that's treated me so good as Velomachus. And once I have committed to the deck, I'm very slow to change things, even though I actually do have the thought process of like, oh, I want to try this card. Oh, I don't want to try that card, etc., etc., etc. But I usually am too busy exploring all the different archetypes in Modern to do that. So I'm just kind of relying on other people to do the developmental work and then just picking up the pieces afterwards. Not that I am bad at looking at what they've done and evaluating if I do or don't agree with it and its relative quality. I think I'm going to keep this hand. It has turn 3 Teferi to turn 4 Indomitable and enough mana to cast anything that we draw into. And we're on the play, so it sort of gives us a little extra bumpin' pumpin' City of Compton. We're probably going Foundry into Steam Vents here. If I need removal next turn and I draw it, the Sacred Foundry. So we're either leading on Sacred Foundry or Steam Vents here. This hand looks like shit. Thanks, Roy. Thank you. I've won a lot of games keeping hands like this, but glad to know my best friend doesn't approve of it. But at the same time, so real talk though, yeah, the hand doesn't look great. However, it's actually able to do what we need in a percentage of games. If I knew what I was up against, I would have a stronger opinion. Without knowing what I'm up against, I did not feel wrong to keep that. So we have a turn 3 Teferi here. This is Living End. If the Teferi resolves, this game is essentially over. I'm going to go ahead and shotgun a Stomping Grounds here. Yeah, exactly. It's definitely able to do the one thing that I can love forever, which is flood out and die. Things are going okay, buddy. This looks like a Waker of Waves cycle. Yep, which hopefully means they didn't have the Force. They've been to Living in there. They don't play any burn, most likely, so they're most likely on Brazen Borrower. So let's just draw our card now. Sent your list in a donation, feedback appreciated. Oh, cool. I will look at that, and I will probably get to that Sunday at the earliest, or Tuesday is most likely. Yeah, Stomp and Bone Crusher Giant are certainly possible. Not something I would expect. All right, so we have Emrakul on this turn cycle. I don't imagine them being able to remove my Teferi and Cascade. So we're looking in good shape here. Again, the hand I kept, I would not draw this up as an ideal hand. I wasn't saying, hey, this hand is amazing. But if you look at the position I've put myself in, against a reasonable percentage of the modern metagame, this hand was fine. It just had what we needed. Hard cast Grief resolves. All right, Grief. How do you feel about Italian? Thoughts? Hey, you know what we're having for dinner? Spaghetti. Alright, so we want the Flusterstorms and Mystical Disputes. Bolt and Prismatic Ending are pretty bad. We might end up keeping some of the Bolts, because we really don't have enough sideboard cards for this matchup. Good grief. Zing. Yeah, we'll probably keep some Veil, or we'll probably bring in some Veil of Summers to fight the counter on the counter, and some Lightning Bolt. Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing, Phoenix. And this deck, again, by having 5 counter spells in the main deck, like, we have a good Cascade matchup, which, it's modern. The matchup lottery is almost as important as how lucky you are within the games. Like, if you run into a matchup that you're like, oh, well, no one's playing that. Well, too bad. You're now X and 1. Like, which is one of the reasons why you want to have a good proactive plan. Because then you can win against a lot of nonsense. You can also just go up the land, Larynx. but I don't understand that making you angry at all. All right, so that hand is basically non-functional. This one's pretty bad. We're on the draw. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is where we're at. I lost against mono green Soul Sisters. Someone who played Modern, probably. Yeah. So I can't actually get a dwarf token with this setup of lands. So we'll just lean on Dwarven Mine. I mean, there is a green Soul Sister. Oh, rats. GPs do not currently exist, but as far as I understand, they will someday. Yeah. It's Soul Warden, but green. Alright, so they know about these two. Let's play that one. We'll get the Raugrin Triome. Whoa, good grief. Haha! But if they're living in this turn, they're not going to get to take any cards away from me. You fool! Alright, let's hedge on just ripping the Wrenn and Six here. Bang. I'll take it! Right then, it's time for the dwarf beats to begin. Do we do the polite thing and counter the actual living end to make the suspend it, right? I mean, I would if the option was available. They're not even cycling anything. I don't understand what's happening, but I'm okay with it. Alright. Get in there, buddy. Yeah, the deck turns into Shardless Bug. They have a Brazen Borrower in their hand. They went to pay cost there to bounce my dwarf, and they were like, wait, nah. Okay. Oh, they boarded an Ashiok, huh? That's pretty intense. It's like a triple time walk. Do we bolt the dwarf so they can't play the borrower? No. Silly goose. Oh! Oh, it's so good. They're only on 5 cards. They'll never have an answer for Teferi the Fun Raveler. Lamau bounce the Shardless. I mean, I might. Got him? Oh, got him. Get out of here. I did it. It's too late. No fools. So if they have Brazen Borrower or something like that to beat my Teferi, they can't also recast the Brazen Borrower. And I knew, of course, that I was going to top deck another Teferi. So that's why I did that. All right. Damn my handsome hide. Oh, they milled themselves. Of course. Oh, yes, of course, of course. All right. I feels you. I feels you, opponent. Oh, I should have bolted there at EOT. Yeah, I mean, I suppose if somehow my dwarf doesn't connect, which is not likely. Don't mill my Emrakul. I mean, they didn't, though. They didn't mill us. Yeah, I'm going to keep the second Teferi on standby, though. I might actually... It is possible I should have held the Foothills in hand to cycle to the Nahiri, but if I'd cast the Bolt at end of turn, I would have had the extra mana to play a Delay or Remand if I drew them. So, there's that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a play. Imagine if Planeswalkers weren't legendary. I don't have to imagine. The technology exists, my friend. The technology exists. Have you ever heard of Mirror Gallery? Alright, so... I'm going to go ahead and play the second Teferi. And I think I'm going to plus it. Just to keep it out of danger. I mean, I could bounce the Brazen Borer, but then they can bounce it. If they have double Petty Theft... Like, so, if I bounce this one and they also have a Petty Theft in hand, I guess that's a problem. If they attack my Nahiri, they're not taking my Teferi off the battlefield. If they have Petty Theft plus attack, I'm probably sure they bounce the Nahiri so they don't die. You agree with plussing? Yeah, I think plussing is the right thing to do here. And then we have our free attack. This can't block creatures that don't fly. Yeah. They basically have to attack the Nahiri here. The thing is... Yeah. It's just kind of an awkward situation. Yeah. The dwarves should attack because they're not blocking. Like, if they could choose to trade there, I would be happy. But they can't. They can't even try to block. So, I'm just making sure that, you know... Cycle the bird and give our dwarf flying. Actually, I've seen plays like that happen. I have seen my... Yeah. I've seen my living end opponent give one of their other creatures flying by cycling Aven Windcaller. So that they could block a Velomachus. I had a Teferi in play. They couldn't do anything else. Okay, so Teferi's going to bounce that. Nahiri's going to exile this, most likely. Perfect. Yeah. And the dwarf beatdown continues. And the beat goes on. And the beat goes on. Oh, yeah. The beat goes on. Sphinxes look like smug jerks in pretty much all the art you see them in. Yeah, well, that's because they are. That's sort of what a Sphinx is. Like, can you imagine the most stereotypical nerd you could run into in an FNM? That's what a Sphinx is. It's like, hey, answer my riddle or there will be dire consequences. It's like, well, what's the dire consequence? Well, you'll have to walk around. Also, I'll kill you. Yeah. Well, I think at that point, though, Carrion Lich, it's that they're not immortal. That's the bigger thing. If they were immortal, you'd probably catch them at some point in the immortality where, you know, they had gotten tired of life, tried to kill themselves, couldn't kill themselves, and had looped around to being sort of, what do you call it? Transcendent. But Sphinxes are mortal. They're not immortal, but they do know everything. So that's why they're kind of obnoxious. There's no winning with Sphinxes. No, they don't. I don't think they die to age, like the quality elves. They're smug because they're cats. Quit overthinking it. Fair. Damn cats. All right, so this hand is unplayable because it has no ability to get to anything unless we draw a fetch land. Now, there are a high number of fetch lands in our deck, but I'm not willing to risk it in the dark. This hand is kind of equally awful. It has more playable spells, but I'm not into it. This is the best one so far. Definitely not good, but the best one so far. Yeah, our hands were not good there. We're against Titan. Alright, we got this one more song, and then we'll switch over to the queue. Yes, it's Friday night, and you're listening to Tower of Power on the Mana Symbol channel. Could be Bluetron. No, looks like Titan. I am, of course, intentionally over-enunciating the A in Titan, as Saffron Olive and several other Magic content creators do. Which makes me laugh, because then I have a friend who overpronounces the T's in words like that. So he says, like, buttons, mountain, Titan. It's like, ooh, too much. Too much. Pull it back. Pull it back, brother. Makes me, I too hate Titan Larynx. I want to go back to the old, that was a really bad draw. I want to go back to the old Velomachus list that had like a 90% plus win rate against Titan. You don't hate Titan, you hate Dryad? Well, that means you hate Titan. You just hate the Titan deck. Titan is the deck, guys. It's not Primeval Titan. You don't hate Titan Shift if you hate Titan. Titan is the short form for Amulet Titan, the good Titan deck. It's like saying, if you say you hate Tron, you mean Green Tron. You don't mean Eentron, and you don't mean Blue Tron. You would say E-Tron or Green or Blue Tron, because Tron is Green Tron. Oh yeah. Dryad just doing God's work. I just hate everything that beats me. That's the most honest modern statement there is. All right, we're just dead here. Tribal Ward Feet Frost Titan. Yeah, Dryad. I mean, it's not that Dryad is a dumb card in and of itself. It's the Dryad Valakut interaction is really obnoxious. Like, Dryad on its own is kind of cool. Like, it makes all these interesting Alpine Moon? What do you want an Alpine Moon? Valakut? I guess so. Yeah. All right. Urza Saga, sure. You think Dryad's a bit... Well, yeah, Dryad's a super pushed card for no good reason. Yeah. Why is it a 3-mana 2/4? I don't know. Why does it give you an extra land drop while being a Prismatic Omen? Yeah, exactly. I mean, hand sucks keep. All right. Hand sucks keep. Yeah. Courser didn't get a friend. Courser got a replacement. All right. Depends on the deck. Sure. That is technically true. Yeah, it's not like primetime decks were playing a lot of Courser before. Well, that's just a great sentence, Carrion Ledge. I think I'm bouncing the Saga here. Because putting them back a land drop is more significant than bouncing something that costs 1. There we go. Killer. Combo, baby. Oh yeah, this attack is so free. If it's not, I will suffer the brunt of your wrath, Twitch chat. Yikes. Is it Scuttle Tide? Is that the name of the crab anthem? Wait, what? Did they just do what I saw? Yeah, they did. Fetch Summoner's Pact. Play Primetime. Dude, you have to cast the pact first. No. I'm good. Rude. All right. We moving, grooving. There's not a crabs theme, but there is hard evidence in Scuttle Tide. So like the O3 crab token is definitely something that exists. Exile all the amulets. How? How am I meant to exile their amulets? I just... Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Alright, we could draw one of our Aether Gusts. Yeah, Nahiri only hits tapped artifacts. If you're suggesting that I use Nahiri, then that is not a thing I can do. Probably dead. They might actually save us for a turn, Larynx. We'll see. $14'd instead of $20'd. Yeah, exactly. It looks like that's the direction they're going, so... You gotta love the natural cavern draw. And then if they don't have a land drop right now, sure. So they can't put in the Dryad. Sure. Imagine if Titan ran TBR. Why? Okay, excellent draw. It had Vigilance, so it didn't even tap, so I can't even use Nahiri to exile it. They do have to pay for a Summoner's Pact, but they still have access to the... Yeah, I mean, there's just no way out, especially with Emrakul in hand, but, like, that was just a very, very good draw. I'm thinking about trying to Darth combo, but, yeah, I could bounce it, but then what? Like, it comes in with haste again the next turn, uncounterably, so I don't have an answer for that. I don't have answers for Emrakul in my deck, and because I'm playing the Emrakul deck rather than the Velomachus deck, even if I drew into a creativity that I could cast... I couldn't kill them that turn. I need to wait a full turn cycle to attack with the Emrakul. Titan is the kind of linear deck where I truly believe that this deck is much less good conceptually than Velomachus. Is there anything Titan really sucks against? This whole metagame. The deck basically vanished off of the face of the earth for like a month. So, a good chunk of this, the top tier of this metagame. Like, I think Blue-Red Murktide probably rinses Titan on average. The card Unholy Heat. Yeah, I agree, Kaya. I am playing this deck partially as respect for someone that I think is a very, very good Magic the Gathering player. But also just to see what it looks like, because I have tried these versions before, but I'm already being led to the same conclusion that I reached before, which is that if you're not going to through the Breach of your Emrakul, I think being able to win the turn you cast the card Indomitable Creativity is... It's not a must, but it's definitely favored. And then, yeah, being able to cast Velomachus is huge. You're never going to cast Emrakul in this deck. Yeah, okay, a tiny percentage of the time. But if you want an Eldrazi you can cast, play Kozilek. But it doesn't come with the protection that Emrakul does. Now, how much does the protection Emrakul has matter? That's another good question. Because Emrakul is not protected from Solitude. You can Solitude an Emrakul. No problem. People think you're a good player and you only play one thing. What do you mean? Does that mean you're not a good player? Some kind of black-red nonsense. Dash monkey. Rats. So I should have fetched shocked for prismatic ending so I could keep the lightning bolt. Yeah. Discard spell? Nope. Good draw, though. Because I do really feel, though, Kaya, that playing one deck a lot and going very deep on it and finding all the niche plays that deck has, that is an important part of becoming a better Magic player. Because then when you go to the next deck, you're kind of operating at that very high level, and you're looking for the little plays in your opponent and the little plays in yourself because you've gotten past the learning phase to the like mastery of the higher level play versus the mastery of the deck itself. It's especially rewarded and advantageous in Modern or any super broad format. Yeah, that too. Yeah, going deep on your own deck means that you have more processing power to run into opponents' decks and be like, what the hell are they doing? And why? And then on the next deck, you're like, okay, I know what they're doing, so now I can focus more on what I'm doing. Yikes. I mean, it might not matter. I don't know what they're going to play here. They went upstairs with the bolt. That's terrifying. So I basically can't fetch shock here, right? Because then I'm just dead to monkey attack plus bolt. No, I'm on 3 lands carrying Lich. Ambush Dwarf would have been huge, but I can't do it yet. I think the best thing to do here is just pass without even getting the value. Just to make them think about it. Because it just doesn't... There's just nothing I can do that actually matters here. Teferi could be relevant if I'm like actually trying to jam an Emrakul next turn, but then like this was infinitely likely to happen. They've played 0 discard spells so far. Playing Teferi gets it out of my hand, but I would also have to fetch shock for it and put myself almost dead on board. It does say other on Dwarven Mine to make that clear. So if Dwarven Mine was a very old school card, it would say when Dwarven Mine enters the battlefield... Dwarven Mine enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 4 mountains. That would be the old school way to write that. The new, more quote-unquote proper way to write it is specifically say 3 other. So you are very much safeguarded against miscounting, in theory. The easiest way to think of Dwarven Mine is it wants to be the 4th mountain. Just like Valakut is looking for the 6th mountain to enter the battlefield. Because that mountain is looking for 5 other mountains. It does not care if it itself is a mountain. I mean, Valakut does. But the mountain in question is not looking for itself. You've never read the card. Fair. I mean, not really, but you know. Oh my god. Oh, I hate these decks so much. Can I play Velomachus with Chalice? 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus with Chalice. 'Cause I don't want to play Velomachus Can we just play Transmogrify and Polymorph so I can play Chalice? You'd like your Reanimator with Chalices? I mean, that's fine. I just don't want to play that. Yeah, or Dead to Kolaghan's Command. Indomitable Creativity, Roy. Yeah, so I screwed up on turn 1 in that game. I did not respect the Ragavan, and I got horribly punished by it. These are things I should relearn playing this deck for tomorrow, which also means, sorry, yeah, these cards go out. That looks pretty clean. They are not going to play Blood Moon. I have the Aether Gust and the Nahiri, so I should be okay. If you stumble versus monkey, you die. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but by stumble, are you saying, like, literally have instant speed removal specifically? Because they didn't even discard me, right? I played the Lightning Bolt first. I had multiple pieces of removal, but all they did was dash it, and they never discarded me until it, like... and the card they took wasn't removal for monkey, so it's like... It's just such a pain in the ass. And we never drew one of the hard evidence, of which we had 4. They ripped 2 lightning bolts, and I had already drawn one, but we couldn't draw a hard evidence. Yeah. Well, it having dash and the fact that it generates a treasure token, right? If it didn't generate the treasure token, the dash mode would basically be, I don't know, less than half as good, I would assume. And Liliana, right? Yeah, sorcery speed is definitely a problem sometimes. No Lily in your Reanimator deck? Sad. So we have to get the Jeskai Triome on 1 to be able to play everything in our hand. Which means if they go discard spell dash monkey, we get messed up until turn 3. But that's fine. Okay. That is a good draw for us. Halsey, how do you accidentally get 11 hours of overtime? That's a lot of accident. Sure, sure. "23 years of overtime on your life right now." True. So we're going to put in the crab here. If they boot up their Dragon's Rage Chandler into a flyer, I'm not super concerned because the Prismatic Ending will get it eventually. I have 2 of them if they have a discard spell, but this insulates me from Dash Monkey, which, as we saw in the previous game, is the much more significant threat because he's going to draw lightning bolts off your deck. That's just the rules, man. Yeah. Thoughtseize away, Nerdlinger. Correct. They can't go Bolt Dash Monkey as well. There's no way they can connect with a monkey with this 0-3 crab in play. And it looks like they may whiff on flipping the Channeler. Kaya is, in fact, 23. Ooh, bad edit. Not your fault, Lukewarm, but bad edit of Sweet Child of Mine. This is going to have the truncated solo at the end, too, I bet. It's one of those really crappy radio edits made by someone who has no sense. All right, land or creature will cause the Channeler to flip here. Creature it is. Flip Channeler on turn 2. See, I've never had that experience, Kaya, but my usual experience is whenever someone asks me how old I am, I usually go, I'm, oh, crap. How old am I? I know it's 30 or older now. Gonna say 31. But, like, I always have to think about it because it's just, like, for whatever reason, it's just, like, not something I usually think about at all. That's a very good draw. So, let's go white, red. Remove that. Oh, I could put Emrakul into play by creativity my clue token, huh? Yeah. Yeah, we should just be putting Emrakul into play. I can't imagine they boarded in some kind of edict, and I don't think they have 1 mana instant speed artifact removal. Alright, cool. Yeah, but if they have a way to deal with it, they will they'll get to stay left. Yeah, I my usual explanation though about age stuff is like once I turned 20, and I always say this, once you turn 25 it doesn't matter because 25 is the last year that really matters because then you can rent a car. I don't know why that's like a thing that like floats around in my brain, but like just being old enough to drink is fine, just being old enough to drink in the States is fine, but oh, Larynx, when my ex-wife, who that's a joke, we were not actually married, but when she was my girlfriend, we would always be like, we had a joke going where she was my ex-wife. All right. So I can cast whichever card I discard. All right. Prismatic Ending my Emrakul. I wish I was married, Larynx Punchworthy. I wish I was married. All right. Hashtag got him. Are you going to stay in this game, opponent? I'm so excited for you to stay in this game. They're staying in this game. Yeah? Okay. What was this? What the hell was that? Oh, I love it sometimes. Their grieving took them through actual game actions. They thought I wouldn't swing. Alright, I'll be back in 1 second. Isn't Delay better than Gust here since they can't run Blood Moon? Well, Delay can deal with resolved permanence, Phoenix, so I feel like it's better because you don't have to have it up at the time. You may be right, though. Yeah, okay, you might be right on that one. I also find it hard to imagine I can stick it to Teferi. Alright, obviously, Basura, the version of Roundabout that you got here sucks. Was that intentional? Because if it wasn't, I'm going to get a good one. I already started it, so. Evenings at Suba. Yeah, it's weird because, like, some people have been carding me more aggressively, Kaya, and then other people just, like, totally ignore it. Alright, so if we get turn 1 discarded, this hand turns into a garbage pile. Or turn 2 discarded. But as long as we draw lands, it ends up being pretty good, so I'm going to keep it. How's Modern treating me? Over the last couple weeks, kind of bad overall, but I've been having a lot of fun. Like, there's been some good spots. Like, the fact that I still haven't trophied is, like, kind of awkward. Because, like, I'm not supposed to care, and I don't push for it. But it's still one of those things that bothers me when I, like, sometimes when I watch other people and they just, like, casually trophy, and it's like, I'm not any better or worse than most of those players, you know? Yeah, it's just like, the fact that it's bothering me bothers me, and then you just go into a whole thing, right? But they're not working on an awesome Magic the Gathering song cover, song parody. Coming for that title, MTG Remy. I'm coming for it. He doesn't have a title or awards. And if there were awards, there'd only be the two of us running so far. So, all right. I think I'm going to give myself the option of casting Lightning Bolt this turn against a Dash Monkey and or fetching the Triome so I can Prismatic Ending something next turn. Yeah, and having fun is what matters. Tried to get Purple Sand today and couldn't find any at the first place you looked. I feel like there's going to be a random dollar store. This is going to be like, it's going to have everything you need. Like, you can get, like, you know, bath beads and random crap like that. Oh, perfect. So let's play Dwarven Mine this turn. And then if they Dash Monkey, we Bolt the Monkey, take the 3, and then Prismatic Ending when we untap. So I could shock the Foundry here to play Prismatic Ending this turn on the Dothy, but then I'm just tapped off my Lightning Bolt, which is not colossally bad, but I think it's important to sort of parse out my removal properly here. These are the fun control questions to me, is like, what sequence do you want for your removal? And if they play Kroxa now, I'm going to Lightning Bolt this so I don't discard something terrifying that they get to play with. So now I can discard whatever I want, and it's not really a problem. Probably pitching one of these Prismatic Endings because having Teferi, having Nahiri and Indomitable Creativity is nice if and when I get to actually start deploying threats. Although I guess ditching Creativity there wouldn't have been too bad. That's a really unfortunate draw. Now, because the first card I fetched for was the Triome, the Raugrin Triome. And unfortunately, then I drew Sacred Foundry naturally. Is Reanimate too good for Modern? Yes. That would be very reasonably not a good choice to play. I'm just that's a bad you're playing a bad card in your deck right now. So this works against the Velomachus deck. It does literally nothing against this deck. It actually makes my delays into counter spells without me having a Teferi in play. Is it effect of them seeing my name? I don't think so, but that's possible. They are one card short on Kroxa. Oh, they grab Luris, sure. Land? I'll take that. Ha-ha! Now you'll have to recast it, opponent. My dragon is free to fly and cast all these turn spells that I definitely have in my deck. Also turns off their Voidwalkers. Sure. We get a land, please. I'm trying. Oh, he's trying. Hoo-hee. We sure are. We're sure casting, trying to get in those lands. Give a Wrenn and Six. That's basically infinite lands. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's most of the Velomachus Turns decks. That's just the post-board configuration. So you'll run 2 dragons in the main and then 1 spaghetti monster in the sideboard. That's the go-to. All right. Kaya. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, it would have. Although I still can't cast it, Larynx. Because I don't have green mana. This is where I'd cast my Veil of Summer. If I had one! Sorry, if I'd stick my green mana. This is where I'd tap for my green mana. If I had some! Why didn't they just name it Jeskai? That's a good goddamn question. Oh, they're getting Kroxa? Oh, that's great for me. Alright, I think I'm ditching Nahiri here. Because I have Ending for the Kroxa and then Bolt for the Luris. What's the Void Mirror for? All my taking turn spells that are on that are gonna get cast off the Velomachus that I don't have. Yeah, they thought we were on turns. Which is fair. Okay. Get ye hence. Now, play the Luris, trying to get back your Kroxa. Yes, I literally Eldrazi'd them last game, but that is a normal sideboard juke from the Velomachus deck. Alright, I guess I'm ditching one of these bolts. Some people view it as a juke. I mean, it's a juke. It's just like, it's normal. Yeah, you'd still play some number of turn spells, usually. Okay. This is what we didn't need to see. Because now they know my hand is garbage. Whereas before they were petrified. They're probably taking the creativity, but still. You demand I play a Tamiyo? I mean, that'd be great, but I don't have green mana. In our earliest versions, though, we tried out Tamiyo. It's just not a good enough card for Modern for the most part. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of discarding cards here either. Oh, whoops. They took the lightning bolt. So they have removal. Yeah, that's definitely a thing that happens more often than not, Kaya. Which is kind of the reason I really don't like the Asmora decks. I wanted to love them. Hey, how's it going, Jacob? I wanted to love the Asmora decks, and I still like them, but like every time I play them, I'm like, okay, I have to mult a 6 or 5 to have a functional hand with some of my engine pieces. Oh, they had a single like Prismatic Ending or Thoughtseize. My whole hand falls apart and I die. Yeah, you needle the cookbook when they mult a 5 and they died. They probably did next to nothing in that game. They might have played a turn 2 Saga, and then you killed them, because that's what they deserve. The deck is not bad. It's just really fragile. Like, real fragile. Yeah, okay. You know, if I draw a fetch land now, I'm putting Spaghetti in play. I'm glad you're having a good time, Jacob. How's your game going? So they saw that on top of my deck and thought, yeah, so the real question here is, if they saw this coming, is there any chance they have an out for Emrakul? Maybe they have a push and forgot about Teferi. Sure. Yeah, we're going to instant speed the Spaghetti. Not an instant speed one? Yeah, sure. I'm just saying, like, no, I mean for the Emrakul, not for the Dwarf. I'm not saying Dwarf. I'm not saying, do they have an answer for the Dwarf? They have answers for the Dwarf. They will play answers for the Dwarf. I mean an answer for Emrakul. Because if they had an answer for Emrakul, I'd play Wrenn and Six here, but I just don't think that they do. So if they try to Luris attack, Luris gets eaten by Spaghetti. Who's Spaghetti? Mom's? Oh. If you push an Emrakul, I'm calling a Judge. Judge wanders over. I mean, I'm going to allow you to cast it, but okay, so that's the Kroxa from the graveyard. This is fine. Well, that's the point. Yeah, that's fine. That's the point, Roy. No, doesn't it have protection from colored spells? Yeah, they can't target it. No, I'm just saying, as a judge, I'd be like, I mean, You can't do that, but even if you did, yeah, I know it does, but I'm just saying, like, even if you did, it still couldn't possibly work. Like, the joke is, like, are they okay? They won't be in a second. Say, Opie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Opie? Say, Opie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Opie? Nothing's ever gonna be okay ever again. Now that you've explained it, it's even funnier. That's the way jokes typically work. You've been struck by a smooth Emrakul. Yeah, and that's like there are enough answers to the non-instant Emrakul in this format that I don't feel strongly about this deck. So the original flavored Velomachus deck does have a problem against Path to Exile, Solitude, and Unholy Heat. This deck, on the flip side, has more problems against Jace, Teferi. Still has the same problem against Solitude. Yeah. Cavern of Souls is a sort of classic blunder. Oh, we need to make a master list of modern classic blunders, and then I want to do a comedy bit where I play Vincini and the Man in Black, and I just do it as like all the retakes. You've fallen prey to the classic blunder. The most well known is this: trying to bolt a Tarmogoyf that's a 2/3 with no instant and sorcery in the graveyard, but only slightly less well known. And then come up with the actual punchline. But just do retakes of that over and over and over again. That's pretty cool, Zetsuba. Yeah, that's the post Mana Leak Land of Shame rearranged. So I have Emrakul in my hand, but I also have Prismari Command. With one land draw, this hand is fairly functional, so I think I'm keeping this in the dark. Oh, that would be fun, Larynx. Although, well, I'll think about that for if I get more. But the thing is, I can do it as a YouTube comedy video or something like that, and then still cut it up and use it as sub messages if I like the way it comes out. It does imply that subbing is a blunder, which I would agree with. You're not even getting most of the upside that most subs do. Did you just quote Lord Farquaad at me? I don't mind, I'm just asking. John Lithgow playing Lord Farquaad was A+. Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make. The only thing you get as subbing is to be... Subbing to you is that clown. That is a creepy clown. Do I want to bolt either of these things right now? Yeah, I want to bolt the Soulscar Mage, because if they have a mutagenic growth, if this is some kind of prowess build, I would like to get this off the battlefield. They can flip the Channeler next turn, and I can bolt that anyway. Yeah, and that's as foretold, as prophesied. Also, I saw a great tweet the other day that said, I've always been reading AF as foretold. Actually, I think it was the person who was following that up, which was, once I read a tweet where someone said they always read AF as foretold, and now I've been doing that, and it's been a severe upgrade on my life. Which, I would agree that is definitely something that that could happen. AF is as foretold in perpetuity. Yeah, your larynx bears are awesome. You're playing against... Oh, is it Halbid Tran, or is it someone who's been inspired by them? Because there is a 5-color Urian Asmora deck with Urzas and everything. But it is all 5 colors. Jesus. Yeah, okay. Yeah. He's like the Urza mad scientist. Okay, so we're just going to kill the Dragon's Rage Channeler here. I'm going to fetch shock for it. We end up taking the same amount of damage, and then if I top deck a land. Are we ever going to bolt something? Yes, we're going to bolt the Dragon's Rage Channeler. But it's not necessarily wrong to let them get the Surveils, because right now they're living in a world where they get to keep this Dragon's Rage Channeler, so they might be binning extra threats. Like, they've been to Stormwing Entity, right? And they might not have done that if they knew their Dragon Rage Channeler was dying. We're basically dead this game, though, right? Like, I have to draw a land, and even then, we're probably in huge trouble. If they have another mutagenic growth... They just bobbled me now? Okay. Oh. Well, I got what I wanted. I did, in fact, draw a land. Okay. I guess we'll delay this. Problem with getting what you want is that sometimes you don't know what you want. Or what you think you want isn't really what you want. Okay. Oh my god, am I actually dead? No, close. Yeah, it does. It's a Urian Vial, Oh, we're dead. Okay, not necessarily. Now we're dead. Close, though. What? Oh, that's upsetting. That's so upsetting. Oh, well, Jacob, if I had drawn a Bolt and a Dwarven Mine to kill the other creature, and then I had a chump blocker, then I could theoretically make it to the next turn, draw a Dwarven Mine or a fetch land, and then Creativity out the Emrakul, and then in theory I could make it to the next turn and kill them. So I actually did have a line out. I wasn't just doing it like just as a spite play. I actually did have a theoretical plan where I could win. Not realistic, but possible. So that was... It wasn't just for spite. I mean, I love spite. Don't get me wrong, but spite doesn't pay the bills. Yeah, the spite's just gravy. Delicious, delicious spite. Yes. As long as it doesn't get empty, Larynx, that's the only thing I care about. The only thing that annoys me is when I have to go fiddle with it. Literally the only thing that I don't like about the song queue is when I have to go fiddle with it. Okay. I know my exposure to that Eminem song with Rihanna, without Rihanna, the Rihanna song with Eminem on it. My exposure to that one was the music video, so I didn't particularly care for that one, but I also don't particularly care for Rihanna, so I don't know. Like, Lose Yourself is a goddamn fantastic song. So is what is that other early one? Steven, whatever the guy's name is. That one's good. And then I just don't know any newer stuff. So I'm sure I like his good songs. Yeah, Stan. There you go. Okay, easy, chat. Chill. Literally was commenting on the fact that I'm like not a fan. Like, again, I don't dislike it, but I don't like it as a group. I like individual songs that I think are pretty neat. I think I'm going to gust this. Don't forget to play around Blood Moon. I didn't board against Blood Moon here, so I'm going to attempt to not play around Blood Moon Phoenix. But I guess I can get the island here. Yeah, I can get the island here. No, I know that he's saying he's not a stan. Yes, I know a stan is someone who is a fan of the thing. Oh, I thought being a stan was taking a stand for the thing. This is the confusing thing about the internet. Because, like, people would say, I stan this, and it's like... Really? Okay. That's fun to know that it actually comes from that song. Or that it might. Stan is a portmanteau of stalker. See, that makes sense. Wait, no it doesn't. Why would people say that then? By intent. I stan this. Dude. What? Obviously they're exaggerating, but... Admitting to being a stalker. Just 2021 things. Because K-pop people are weird. Okay. I would like a treasure, thank you. Would I? No, I have another Aether Gust. Let's rummage. Because most of my hand is not great. So if I had the creativity, I love when this card isn't being played. And I really hate when it is. Mutagenic Growth is a blight on the modern format. It really, really is. Yeah, that's really all there is to say about that. God damn it. Free spells suck. Well, most of them are pretty innocuous at this point. Right? And like surgical, I feel like surgical extraction does more good than evil. But I'm willing to be told otherwise. Yeah. We can ban Force of Negation if... Yeah, proactive free spells, sure. But, like, Gutshot's fine. I don't really mind Gutshot. Like, Gutshot's so bad. Gutshot's so bad it keeps giving Phoenix players hope. Man, if that was a prowess creature in play, they would be banging right now. Lucky for me. They're up to a whole 2 card types. Now, they could pop the bauble and get themselves up to 3, but... Oh, yeah. Now they've got 2 1/1s. Oh. They got there. Second mutagenic growth, anybody? Oh, yeah. No, that's very reasonable. All right. So I'm in a spot where if I draw a Nahiri, I'll be okay-ish. Teferi would be quite good, assuming with all these things. Daragaz. Yeah, so what it is I've set up OBS now, where OBS has the ability to divide your audio into streams based on the mixer in Open Broadcaster. So you can see here's my microphone, and that's where you're hearing me. Here's the desktop audio that's picking up Magic Online as well as the music. So if you are clever, and by clever I mean you go in and you see how it all works, you can split that up so that individual channels go to certain places. So in this case, both the local recordings and the Twitch VODs don't have the music piped into them. They also don't have the MTGO sounds. If you go back in my videos on YouTube and Twitch, the game sound used to be in, and it is no longer in because of that. So basically you just get my voice on the VODs, which is good enough for most people. Most people seem to be very anti-MTGO sounds. I mean, not most, but like you don't get a lot of comments on people saying, I love that you have the MTGO sounds. Whereas you definitely get a bunch of people saying like, MTGO sounds. What is the face? What? Is it what? I think it's what. Yeah, this is the comment in YouTube that you'll essentially get. They'll just say MTGO sounds followed by a bunch of words that are essentially that. So, Teferi off the top into creativity, anyone? No, hold on. Alright. It's cool. Dying to prowess. No change. No change. I don't know, when it comes to the emotes larynx, I think Resk has a lot of the ones I really appreciate. Although Rue Slam might be the number one. Listen, Halsey. If it lets me play the game the way I want to play it, I will restart it. It also doesn't take long, so. That's fantastic. I was not ready for that. The Resk Glue one is so good though, because I can't tell if he's actually angry. He's messed up. Yeah, Rue with the gun is pretty good too. They're all quality. Did we ever figure out what this song means? I don't think it means what I think it means. I put on another song that has a similar theme in my mind. Team Leader NA is usually on some deck, but I forget which one it is. They're usually a grinder on. Is it Living End? I think it's Living End. Slam your body down and wind it all around. That's right, Spice Girls. Yeah. Spice World is also... Shoot, I probably should have hard evidence this turn. Spice World, the movie, is surprisingly quality. It has Meatloaf in it. I mean, come on. Oh, they are on Grief. They're on Grief, but they're also playing white. Opponent is literally insane. Meatloaf would do anything you paid him at the time. He was in Wayne's World. I don't know, though. I don't agree with you. Like, he was in Fight Club. Like, come on. No, I don't believe that. I don't want to look into the background on Meatloaf's financial problems. I mean, that was obviously like a big role, and that was like a big, yeah. Like he was in Rocky Horror, but it wasn't like, so like John Travolta being in Pulp Fiction is partially Quentin Tarantino, and he's gone on record saying so. Sort of doing a send up of John Travolta because, you know, John Travolta was like a singing, dancing machine, and yeah, he's a good actor and he's fine in that movie, but like he made sure to have a scene with him dancing where he's like, you know, he's not in the same kind of shape he was in the 70s. So we just windmill slam this Teferi, right? Yeah, I mean, I can imagine his musical comeback flopping because like it was very his music was very 80s-y, but it's remembered very kindly by like, you know, I think a lot of people. It's very good 80s music. It's over the top. I also don't know if his voice survived, you know, the through the 80s into the 90s. There's a lot of people from the 80s where like their voices were not good by the time the 90s rolled around. Very well. Does Emrakul fly? Asking for a friend. Isn't that basically what happened to Huey Lewis? I don't know. Emrakul does... Like, his voice got really messed up? I don't know. I mean, it just happens to a lot of people. We're probably not... Ooh, that should be working. Let me go get the bot. Yeah, the bot jumped out. I don't know why. There you go. I mean, lots of people have voices that get really messed up. Apparently, Steven Tyler very regularly has, like, polyp surgery for, like, nodes on his vocal cords at this point. Just because what he does in Aerosmith is pretty hardcore. All right, so basically the same sideboarding as before, I think. And then... Oh, I've got a second. Huey Lewis. No, he doesn't seem to be... He doesn't seem to be off at all. Seems to have had a consistent career for every 5 years or so since the 80s. 2018 his hearing went... I mean, that's not surprising. Yeah, there we go. So 2018. But it wasn't his voice, it was his ears. Which again, that's what Brian Johnson of AC/DC had a similar thing. Brian Johnson of AC/DC, his years just were totally shot by the last couple tours. And then they were also dealing with Malcolm Young's dementia. So it's a tough time for AC/DC. All right, is this what I want? I think so. I actually did not know the name of this Eminem song. This is Without Me. I remember this being one of the really big later ones. Like this was like once he was well established. I was like this was like the third or fourth song I remember being kind of famous. All right, reasonable keep. How do you even pronounce a word with two accents? I mean, it depends on the accents. Your song choices are impeccable if eclectic. It's the name of my next band. Impeccable if eclectic. But yeah, sorry, to the person who asked me about the DMCA strikes or whatever earlier, I basically heard Doomwake mention that that's what he was doing. He was making sure that either his VODs are just fully muted or he makes sure the music doesn't pop up on the VODs. And I was like, oh, I could probably do that. And thus I did. Man, opponent just loves to jam. So you're saying he's the rap version of like Yngwie Malmsteen or just like any power metal band? I'm okay with that. I'm just asking. The point is they love adding virtuosic solo sections to their stuff. All right, so if they cascade again, I have no out other than make a treasure and put spaghetti in play, which might be good enough. Oh, but they have a grief. But grief targets, right? It does. Okay. Okay, they didn't immediately cascade. That's a good sign. You don't know much about metal? All right, that's fair. So they're tapped out. So as long as they don't have force, I get Emrakul into play and then hopefully beat this. And the question is, do I want a Prismari Command? I do want a Prismari Command to rummage and make a treasure. And the reason I'm doing this is now, rather than just play the Veil, is if this works, I could hit something like Mystical Dispute, which isn't relevant here, but if I had hit Flusterstorm, it would have been. Let's pitch Stomping Ground, and I could pitch the second Stomping Ground if I wanted to, but I might as well not. I don't have the planes in my deck right now, so that's fine. So this is going to resolve. Then we're going to Veil. And then hopefully next turn we put Emrakul into play. And then Emrakul blocks Waker, and we take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, which is not lethal. I remember listening to Feel Good Inc. when I was in high school, and I thought it was like the greatest thing that has ever been written. Then I looked at the tablature for the guitar chords, and it was really messed up. I think basically someone did a really bad transcription, and that's what I was trying to read. Sorry. So Shardless Agent was also coming in, which I didn't remember. So 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. We're going to take 15 here, and I have to fetch for the dwarf. So I'm probably just dead. Yeah, I think they have Xaxes too. Let's see if they can do basic math. Or maybe they'll just get spooked and do something silly like a Reliving End. Oh, okay. Never mind. All right. Let's do it up. Not with that hand, though. Yes. You like my idea? Yes. Wow. All right. Who's ready to get forced? Forced to what? Exactly. Oh. Shit. We done did it. All right. We should be in okay shape here with delay plus Flusterstorm in the future. Carrion, I thought you were going to eat pizza, not glue. I think I know the answer, Halsey. But I feel like there's a good number of good joke meme answers. So my top guesses for a skeleton's favorite snack are either a T-bone or a rib roast. Oh, yeah, Roy's close. Roy's close. Yeah, the music from Persona 5 is great. Which is funny because I feel like this is the music that whoever wanted me to enjoy. What was the name of that really bad anime? oh, it's about like a high school, but it's not actually a high school. It's purgatory, and there's like the death god looks like a schoolgirl, and then they're in a pop punk band for some reason. Anyone? Angel Beats. Yeah, I thought that was terrible. I thought it was terrible, and I thought the music wasn't very good. It was not good, in my opinion. I'm gonna talk all the shit I want about Angel Beats, Jacob. This is my channel. I thought it wasn't very good, and I thought the music wasn't very good. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't very good. Like, when someone's like, "Oh, the music," I was like, I don't know. I kind of like Full Metal Alchemist music better than this. And Full Metal Alchemist wasn't about the music in it all. Like, it just was like, it was just good like OST, orchestral soundtrack stuff. I know OST usually means original soundtrack, but in this case it was very orchestral and swelling and... Yeah, but if everything that's good about a show is in the last 3 episodes, does that make it a good show? No, it makes it a good conclusion to a otherwise okay show. But like this song from Persona is poppin'. This is Last Surprise. Listen to that bass player go. Hey man, that's awesome. But like the only anime that I've ever watched that I actually particularly thought was any good was Death Note. Dang, you got me good, opponent. It's not going to be on suspend at all now. Anyway, here's Flusterstorm. But I mean, I guess I don't. When I watch anime, I'm not watching anime as a genre. I'm watching anime as an individual thing that I want to enjoy. So I guess not being tropey is a huge upside for me. Like, not close. Code Geass? Sure. I will consider looking into Code Geass. I've heard a lot of good things about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but I assume it's full of anime tropes from some of the people that have recommended it. It's one of those things that I like desperately want to watch, but I'm nervous. I'm wary. I'm definitely not faint of heart. I mean, the thing that I liked about Death Note, the first half of Death Note, by the way, it got really bad in the second half. But I don't mind weird at all. Like, ludicrous is good. One of my favorite pieces of art on the planet is the Heavy Metal movie, and that's definitely kind of wacky. Yeah, I like over the top stuff just fine. But it's like if it's like, is it ridiculously anime in that it's a bunch of anime in-jokes that you only get by watching other anime? Or is it a bunch of anime in-jokes in that you think they're anime in-jokes, but they're just over the top? Yeah, I think that's hilarious. The one character from Full Metal Alchemist who is like super over the top like that, I love that guy. General whoever, Captain whoever, he was hilarious. Yeah, it's not contingent on... Yeah, Armstrong, that sounds right. Whereas, like... And I did enjoy... one time I was at an anime convention, and there was a showing of Lucky Star, which I'd never heard of or seen any of. So we watched a bunch of that, and I thought that show was hilarious. Because it was like... It was kind of like the Office Space of, like, anime... Whereas, like, nothing really ever happens, and they don't really make a big deal out of it. It was just, like, everyday life, but, like, it was very flat. I did not care for Cowboy Bebop. I thought the pacing was really bad. I don't know if I'd like it again if I saw any of it, so I'm not going to hop on that recommendation, Jacob, but I'll try to remember it. So we have spaghetti plus delay here, so let's make some pasta. Next up is the east side. Motel, yeah. Summon the Wiggly. I guess the conservative line would be to chump block with the dwarf, then go to end of turn, and yeah, I have double Flusterstorm, right? Good thing I have a delay, I guess. Into a whole new era. G-Funk step to this. I dare ya. So were they really just praying that I had 0 lands in hand? The conservative line would be to blame the liberal media. Yo, true? Alright, so we got Living End twice in that league, which felt really good. So, yeah, Z-Man's Supervillain deck. I mean, this deck is fine. I have played things like it before, and I think they're okay. If you're very conservative about... we were 3-2 there, Halsey. Delay's been impressing you? Yeah. Losing to Prowess and Black-Red Luris. No, we beat the Black-Red Luris deck. What was the other loss? We lost to Prowess, and we lost to something else that killed us pretty damn quick. Oh, Titan. Right, but that's just because of all of these decks have like shifted away from the cards for the most part. And to be fair, we actually had the number post board that I would have before. We had about 8 things that were supposed to be able to deal with like Titan in a reasonable way, and we just didn't. But this deck is definitely worse against Titan than Velomachus right now. We did have pretty bad runs against Titan, though. Like, we never had Prismatic Ending for early amulets. So I think if you were to run against Titan more often with this deck, it'd probably be more okay. But I'm not sure. I think this deck is very good. If you like this deck and you don't like having to play crappy Explorer, which is Savor the Moment in Velomachus Turns, this is a very reasonable... choice that is similar but different in ways that make a lot of sense and end up with a deck that is very good at what it's doing. You are more vulnerable to Solitude, as that game would have been very, very difficult from that point. I mean, not actually all that difficult. I think we would have been just fine at that point. Even if they did exile Emrakul, it would have been a lot of work to win that game, but I think I would have been able to do it. But it's not as easy as being deterministic with Time War. Is hard evidence necessary? Yeah. Generally speaking, in this metagame, I would say hard evidence is pretty important. It is like a flex slot. Hard evidence, Lightning Bolt, and Prismatic Ending are kind of the best in class right now for what you want to do. I mean, the core of this deck is really this. And then this is the core of the deck right here, these 17 cards. And then this is sort of all the sauce. Nahiri is very good when you're playing Emrakul, but just good for this archetype in general. So Nahiri is like closer to being a core card, but I generally believe that Teferi, Time Raveler, and Wrenn and Six are like core to these strategies. And then Prismari Command is exceptional. And then the creativity is what you're doing to flip Emrakul into play. So having redundancy in token creation via hard evidence is really good. So it's a good slot there. Plus, it's supposed to be able to come in early and block monkeys or force removal onto things where your opponent would hope that they could hold it. Is the power of Blood Moon good enough to side out Luris as a companion? For most decks, it hasn't been, because in any matchup where they think they would possibly want Blood Moon, they usually play Alpine Moon. But it depends. It depends on the metagame. I mean, there's certainly metagames where Blood Moon would be good. Although in Luris Jund, I mean, I don't think so, because you build a lot of your deck around Lurrus. Like, it's not like Bogles where you just have Lurrus for free and you don't play any particular synergy for it. Lurrus Jund, you're going to be playing Baubles, right? Um, and so making your Baubles worse in the post-board games to play Blood Moon, it may be worth it. But then, like, you're losing Lurrus against what I assume are more controlling mid-rangey decks that you want to play Blood Moon against. And most Jund decks tend to get kind of messed up by their own Blood Moons a little bit. So I'm not sure, but I mean, by and large, by the numbers, if you expect to slam into Amulet a lot, register a different deck. I wouldn't play any variety of Jund if you're expecting to run into Amulet Titan a lot, I think. Because that's one of the things is like, if your deck... So if I was expecting in the thing tomorrow for a lot of people to be playing Blue-Red Prowess, I probably should play something that isn't Velomachus. If I'm just going to be honest with myself, right? Decks that lose to Blood Moon tend to have answers to Blood Moon. Yeah, it's just hard for me to think of like a deck where like Jund really wants to moon them. If you want to be Titan, you could always have Boil, and that lets you keep your Lurrus. Boil and like Terminate. I guess that splits. This one's from me, Jacob. Let me finish up this video. So yeah, Zan's supervillain deck, very reasonable spin on an Indomitable Creativity deck without Velomachus. I do miss the Time Warps, but it does get to have a lot more interaction and stuff. So if you like this video and you're watching in the future on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, check out any of my other videos you're interested in, and I will see you there.